Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 233 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is one of those fish that a lot of people have heard about, but there's so many misconceptions about this shark that it really needs to be talked about. But it is a really cool shark, so I definitely hope you enjoy. Obviously, now you know that it's a shark, but what shark we're talking about? Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is... bam! The Cookiecutter shark. Now, the Cookiecutter shark, or otherwise known as the cigar shark, scientific name Isistius brasiliensis. Again, that's Isistius brasiliensis. It is part of the family Dalatiidae, which is the family of kitefin sharks. Now, the kitefin sharks are going to have this same sort of body shape, very cigar, short, blunt snout. So there's a lot of interesting characteristics, but realistically, you know, the likelihood of you actually encountering this fish is pretty minimal, so I'm not going to worry too much about how do you identify this shark from other sharks. But most people have heard of the Cookiecutter shark, and for good reasons. Now, in terms of where you're going to find this shark, it is found in all of the tropical and temperate oceans of the world. It's very, very widespread, and it's frequently found near islands. At least that's what the literature sort of reports. I don't necessarily agree with that. Are they actually living near islands, or are they found everywhere? And because most fishing takes place closer in proximity to islands, is that where it's being encountered? So I'm not sure. More than likely they're following their food source, so I'm not 100% confident either way. But it is rarely found. It is one of the rarest to find sharks ever. Not because it is actually rare, just because of how it lives, and a lot of that has to do with because of the depths that it's found at. The Cookiecutter shark during the day can be found at depths between 1 and 3.7 kilometers, which is 0.6 to 2.3 miles deep. This fish loves to be down at the bottom during the day, but at night it will rise into the upper water column, usually still staying below that 85 meters, which is around 279 feet, but will actually come to the surface very rarely. So this is one of those fish that we've talked about in the past, has that diel vertical migration. So during the day they are staying close to the bottom, and at night they're coming up shallower. So that's actually very, very common in oceanic fishes, especially the more we've actually been able to research them. So that really doesn't surprise me. It did surprise me they got that shallow, but the fact that they exhibit diel vertical migration is not exactly that uncommon. Now, it is a smaller shark. They reach somewhere between 42 and 56 centimeters, which is 16.5 to 22 inches. When you start getting up to the upper end of the range, so 20, 21, 22 inches, 50 centimeters and above, you're almost 100% of the time going to assume that that is a female. Female sharks traditionally get much larger than male sharks, and this shark is no exception. Females are much bigger than males, but not really significantly, because you're really only talking about a difference of 6 inches, so half a foot, really. So it's still a very small shark. But as you can see from this picture, it actually does kind of fit its name, the Cookiecutter shark. Sorry, the cigar shark. Very simply put, this could very easily be a cigar. Now, sometimes you'll see them more like this, where they have a much thicker belly. Here's a pencil for size. So this shark could have recently eaten, or there might be some other reason why it's this large. And I have a theory on that, but we'll discuss that in a bit. But they have this very short, blunt snout here at the end. Kind of a smaller mouth, extremely large eyes, very, very large eyes. It's got these 2 dorsal fins set very far back in the body, a very large caudal fin proportioned to its size, no anal fin, which is actually fairly interesting, but it does have these pectoral fins. But another interesting note about its fins is it actually has these translucent margins, meaning they're see-through, which is really interesting. Most sharks don't really have translucent margins. In fact, I can't think of any that do. So this was kind of a little neat personal knowledge factor for me. In terms of coloration, they are brown. They're brown. That's about it. They do have this darker brown collar at the neck, but they're brown. There is nothing exciting about the coloration going on with this fish. This is darker brown with even darker brown as a collar. That's it. This fish is very bland in coloration. And do not be fooled by the blue in this picture. I can almost guarantee you that is from the flash of the camera, not from the actual coloration of the fish. So, you know, I wouldn't be too excited about this. What is exciting about this fish, though, is that it does actually exhibit bioluminescence. And not only does it exhibit bioluminescence, it has the strongest luminescence of any known shark. And what bioluminescence is it's through some sort of biological and chemical reaction, an organism emits lights. Fireflies, that is an example of bioluminescence. And the Cookiecutter shark actually has extremely strong bioluminescence on the underside of its body and not on the top. And that helps with their camouflage from from predators, and also allowing them to kind of sneak up on prey. What's interesting is that they don't have bioluminescence at their collar, which aids in both their camouflage and their prey-seeking abilities. Now, something about this shark that is not unique but interesting is that they are ovoviviparous, which is the bridge between egg birth and live birth. And how ovoviviparity works is essentially eggs, their young still have a yolk, but they stay essentially in the uterus until they've used their yolk and they give birth to live pups. But the young are actually still fully dependent on basically what makes an egg, an internal yolk. They are not receiving nutrition from the mother. That would be regular vivipary. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of fish that handle ovovipary. Maybe something that we dive into a little bit more. Probably make an interesting little special video. Now, in terms of the Cookiecutter shark, it is very seldom encountered by humans. It has happened, but it's not classified as dangerous. Now, it has been bit, I think as recently as like 2012, a person was swimming and actually got bit by a Cookiecutter shark, managed to throw them off before they got too much damage was done. But what's interesting is that these fish actually kind of form congregations. I wouldn't say they are schooling, it's just more that they seem to hang out in the same area in relatively close proximity to each other, which probably helps when you think about it. If their bioluminescence is everywhere but the dark brown collar, when they're in a school or they're in a close proximity to each other and they're exhibiting those bioluminescence, all those dark brown collars not having any light coming from them might actually look like a school of fish when seen from below to another fish, which is why they might be able to sneak up on other fishes. Now, this fish has no commercial value. Because it has no commercial value and it's not really that dangerous and it seems to be very widespread, this is not an endangered shark. In fact, the IUCN classifies this as least concern because there's no reason for anyone to really mess with this shark, which is nice. It's always nice to hear about an interesting animal that's kind of being left on its own and it's not hurting anyone and it's not being hurt by us. It's always nice. But now, for the interesting fact we're going to end the video on is actually their feeding mechanisms. And it's very, very interesting. They have two sets of teeth. They have a top row jaw. Their top jaw has almost your more traditional shark-like teeth, especially for fish. Kind of smaller, peg-like, and ending in a single cusp. Really meant for just grabbing and holding on to things. But their bottom teeth their bottom jaw has really broad, sharp teeth that are actually interlocking. It is not one tooth, as some people think, but they're actually just interlocking. And there's a reason that you would want them to be interlocking, not actually one tooth. Because if they're interlocking, if one tooth breaks off, then you're breaking off a tooth. You're not creating a lot of damage to the jaw itself. You're just breaking off a tooth, and sharks lose teeth all the time. If it was all one tooth, that would mean if it got broken, then it would cause significant damage to probably the entirety of the animal. But while their upper teeth, they lose and replace them all the time. I think they have 30 rows in their upper jaw and 20 in their bottom jaw. If they do happen to lose a tooth in their bottom jaw, they will actually replace the entire row, not just one singular tooth. And something actually interesting on that was they will swallow their old teeth to recycle calcium. Calcium is not a very available resource for fish, especially fish of this size, that, you know, they are traditionally not eating any sort of bone material from other animals, so they're not really getting any sort of calcium. But it's still really neat. If you want a better picture, this is be a picture of like the jaw without the animal around it. So you can see their smaller teeth with the broad interlocking teeth here. But how they're eating is they are actually using those top teeth to sort of set themselves. These fish don't usually go after smaller fish. These are not fish that are swallowing something whole, although they will. Their traditional form of eating is other sharks, dolphins, whales, and things like that. You can see here they have a bite here, and there's sort of two methods that they'll do. There is they set their front teeth in, and then they ice cream scoop a piece of flesh out, and then they swim away with a, you know, basically a hunk of meat in their jaw, and away they go. Those bottom teeth are so incredibly sharp, and they cut so well. That's how they eat. Now, sometimes if it is a thicker bodied animal, they will sometimes hit and then sort of twist like a cookie cutter to get their piece of meat. But a lot of times they will actually just set and take one big scoop. And that's what you see here. I believe this is a dolphin, maybe a shark, which are not known to actually have that thick of skin. But when you get on something like a whale, it's probably going to have thicker skin to where they have to kind of cookie cutter their meat away. And I do want to make it very clear, there's a lot of bad rumors and things like that saying, oh, this fish will take bites out of submarines and ships and everything like that. I don't believe that, because this fish does not really generate enough power. It's meant to cut, not to, you know, cut through steel. So doubt that. But still a very, very interesting fish, and probably one of the better known sharks that isn't very well studied. So always interesting and always good to get a shark like this. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated. Regardless, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.